So everybody, thanks for being a nerd and clicking to watch the extra footage from the Hyperlapse video. This is I'm Ryan Manning. We should say who's here. I'm Ryan Manning.
I'm John Lagomarsino.
Tom Connors.
I'm Jimmy Shelton.
Jimmy is the person who was on the glidecam in this video, and I'm the one that was on the Hyperlapse. So we just wanted to talk about how crazy Hyperlapse is. Like the way that Hyperlapse stabilizes is like, so like it knows, my gyroscope on my phone knows where my hand is right now, and then it's like, oh, so you were kind of janky and choppy when you were moving around. I'm just gonna make that smooth for you because I know where your hand should have moved to be smooth, as opposed to like warp stabilizer or any other image stabilizer that like looks at the planes in the image and sort of tries to figure it out after the fact. It's pretty crazy. It only exists for like the phone right now.
Yeah, you can see warp stabilizer.
So yeah, right there.
I'd like to point out that shot is like really hard to do. It's really hard.
Yeah, so Jimmy, this is a glide cam, and Jimmy on the glide cam, and then it was warp stabilized, and you could see it sort of like pulsing there, and that's something you would never get
Now we're in the native camera.
when you're using. Yeah, that's something you would never get when you're using like Hyperlapse, because
you don't have to actually.
Like when you use warp stabilizer, it can be tricked if something.
So I think what it was doing in that shot was actually latching onto Sam's body instead of the seam,
which messes up a background.
Yeah, and that happens all the time with warp stabilizer. Where
especially what are we looking at here? That's Ryan, by the way, in the blue.
Yeah, that's me, guys. So you can see like even this isn't low light at all in this shot, and like you can still sort of see the weird blurry things from when
it's still like more passable than what warp stabilizer will do to some shots.
Yeah,
which is
like I would see warp stabilizers are kind of messing up with that shot.
So yeah, so I'm just trying to show you like what my hands did and then the shot that came from it. So that's how I moved. So like when you use Hyperlapse, you still have to look like an idiot and have a weird face. Like it's not like you can just casually shoot, but you have to sort of still get into it. But like the results are pretty crazy when you do get into it and act. You still try to be as stable as you can.
Did you guys film this shot with the C100 on the glidecam? Because
No,
I'm pretty sure it would fail really hard with all that detail happening. Like
there's no way.
There are like lines to track onto, but I'm pretty sure the feet moving would just completely destroy that shot.
That and having to run up the stairs and then land. Yeah, a hard shot to hit anyway.
So like the fact that like warp stabilizer could work in the dark. It doesn't need something to look at to track onto. All it needs is like the motion from the gyroscope, which is crazy.
But like you were saying the other day, when it's in the dark, it also has to use a really wide shutter, or a slow shutter rather. And what happens then is when it does stabilize, you get motion blur that gets stabilized, and so it's like kind of the telltale when you see some blurriness happen and the frame doesn't move. Do you have anything like that coming up?
Where it's like locked off shot and then it's just blurry?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because that's the stuff to me that's like a dead giveaway.
Yeah, and like what they're gonna have
so
to.
Insane. Yeah, it's insane. The only thing that ruins this for me is that it's so deep. If there was somehow to make this somewhat shallow, like you can do on a C300 or C100, like.
Oh well, that's the thing. It's like the only reason this is a problem is because like the phone's camera isn't that great.
Yeah.
You put this kind of stabilization technology into any like C100 or larger camera, and you're gonna get the same results but a better camera.
I know, and it's gonna put me out of a job.
This was crazy. Like this shot when I saw this, I was like, holy shit. This technology is crazy. So like I was shaking so much on this shot before. It was like shaky as heck. Yeah, I mean these kind of shots you could do these classic like.
You look like a creep. But
yeah,
I don't know if I've seen this shot. I don't think this was in the video. Oh my god, are you kidding me?
That's great.
That's insane.
Oh yeah, this is weird too. Like if you
I don't
shoot
even think
in
I
a
could
car or
slide that
something,
well.
it's actually it's stabilizing to like the earth and not necessarily like the taxi you're in. So like the taxi jumps around.
That's great.
The street stays stable. So like that's a crazy effect. So yeah, you could do because it's like a new kind of stabilization. There are lots of like weird quirks that people could figure out.
Do you
like,
have any of the videos that you shot? Of Anna?
Oh no, yeah. If you lock onto somebody's face, like get really close to them and focus on their face, and then just like just zoom in and out really fast, like with your arms, just like push it in and out, it looks really weird. It's a weird thing. I mean, maybe I'll put it in.
How's this gonna go?
Yeah, I'll throw it in after this. Oh yeah, this is crazy. So like I was running full speed here. This is like the shaky version. I was
like
going
one
full
hand,
speed,
too.
one-handed.
Right.
We don't have an alternate angle of how I was running, but I was running full speed on this. And I think this is where you
Wow.
actually...
Oh my god.
I mean, it's not great. You see it breaking down.
But there are
like-
moments where it's like passable. Like right there
There's-
is a moment
yeah.
that's passable.
Yeah, there's like a...
I'm not sure if I would still use it.
I wouldn't use it.
in one of our videos, but like
Sure, but like
you can see what's going on.
If this is your kid riding like a motorized unit... Okay, so here's like...
Well, if this is your kid riding a motorized
Yeah.
unicycle, I'd question your parenting.
Yeah, I mean, this is markedly better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think once you get to like high speeds and
Yeah.
very shaky, you can't really use
especially when you go to like one hand and you have to run, the like tilting of your hand affects it so much more dramatically than a glide cam would.
Tom, was this
Yeah.
you doing this?
it. No, this
No,
is
it's not
me.
for Rondo.
This
Great.
is but yeah, then like kind of it was kind of shaky. I put warp stabilizer and it fixed it. Like so like this
Even like warp stabilizer gives it like this kind of surreal
Yeah.
bend to the image, which I don't think hyperlapse is even doing. Like hyperlapse seems.
It does at times, but it's more like sharp. Like you'll notice that and it feels like a sharp twitch rather than like the bending. And
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like
That might also
painting-like.
have to do with
That's
like the
Rondo's
lens.
smiling.
That we're, the lens that we're
Smile, that
using.
winning smile.
Yeah, this is crazy too. Like I'm anybody listening to this, go try this. It's wild. Just run really fast with it pointing at your face.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's the thing
Man.
in my mind.
It looks
I still don't know what it's doing because like my mind is so used to it having to
Track onto an
track
image.
onto the image, so I don't even know why
it's-
it's doing it that way.
it just knows where it is and like imagine the phone moving like shitty and no, this is actually you can see why like hyperlapse will never like solve all the problems in this
Right.
one because
Oh
like
wow.
there's some weirdness on the fence here. Watch when Tom asked me to like jump up and down. Yeah,
It's a little bit, but it's
Isn't
still.
that no? That's weird.
It's weird.
But
yeah.
it's an effect I haven't seen before, which I think is
Yeah.
really interesting about this.
But like Jimmy, just imagine like you see all
where
these
you ran
bumps and
into a
stuff.
car.
Just imagine that your phone knows how you moved through the space, but then it goes back through it and sort of adds like
It does the opposite
easing.
move.
Right.
Like have you ever in Illustrator drawn like a crappy janky line and then there's like the thing that says like smooth it all out? Like it just smooths out
Yeah.
your hand in space. Like imagine it going back through the exact same shot, but smoothing out all of the points.
Which is actually like a much easier thing to process than
Yeah.
going through and analyzing the footage. And
Yeah,
making
the speed
changes.
was also amazing to me because of how long it takes to stabilize footage in Premiere to how quick hyperlapse is able to do it.
Well, because
Yeah.
it doesn't have to do image processing.
Yeah,
it's
it's just
only
right.
doing
It's
spatial
taking
stuff.
the data that already
So
exists.
we should
It's insane.
look this up before we did this, but we've heard about a thing that goes into a little dongle that goes into like the hot shoe on a professional camera that would collect the same kind of data, and then using software could correct, say, for like one of our C100s
Right,
or a 5D or
exactly.
something. So that's super interesting.
Somebody's making a device that is just like a gyroscope that would, I guess, have a third-party app that you plug the data into,
Right.
and then your footage, and then it would do the smoothing this way.
This
I
is
don't know.
wild. How this?
Yeah, this is like this. I was on a
crazy.
bike. I was riding really dangerously. Oh, okay, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that was crazy. I was riding on a bike and shooting, and it was really janky. So here's like shitty like concert footage, and like you can
Right.
see my hand is shaking. I was doing like sort of a fake tracking move, like a fake jib move. But it was pretty dark, and you'll see like there
Wow.
aren't a lot
Wow.
of
Right. It's crazy.
even for being this dark, I
Wow.
don't see much of the blurring. You might see it every once in a while on like
Yeah.
the amp light. You could see like it's sort of blurring, but it's pretty smooth, guys.
I mean, the unfortunate thing though is that you're still using a phone's camera, so
Yeah, that is the unfortunate
even though
thing.
like
Right.
the motion looks great, the exposure just isn't good here.
Right, and like that's gonna always be the problem. But like, it's just it to me is like the hope of this for the future is crazy good.
Or even if
And like Jimmy said, it does feel like my job will get like taken away soon because all of a sudden this computer will take over what we do.
Well, what if GoPro had this built in?
For
yeah,
sure.
I mean, no joke. I had the contact to somebody at GoPro, and I was like, "Why aren't you guys doing this now? Like right now?"
Mm-hmm.
You
'Cause that's
guys
been
should
like
have-
the biggest problem with GoPro is that
It's shaky. And like, how hard would it be to put a gyroscope in a GoPro? Not hard. How hard would it be to put a gyroscope in any camera? Like this technology is like the inevitable future of all cameras. the stabilization, the way we used to do it, will still be around, but it'll be completely secondary to this kind of stabilization.
You can get away with so many more bumps. And
Yeah. It's great. Basically,
Well, I guess the other thing though is that you need to be rolling then at a resolution that's much higher than
you
your
need
output.
to. Well, you need to be like the future of this is really, really high shutter speed.
This is a
and
good
then some
example
sort
of
of
bad warp stabilizer.
Yeah, warp stabilizer fucking up, going in and out. Like, it's terrible.
This is a mess.
Warp stabilizer's cool, but this is why warp stabilizer is gonna die. Stuff like that.
Well,
All right, I guess it's over.
that was an abrupt ending. But thanks, Rhonda.
Yeah, Rhonda, thank you.
Okay. Thanks for watching, nerds.
See you later.
See you, nerds.